Samsung's latest foldables make some key enhancements in places that we may have been asking for them already. While thin is in on one of the foldables, the other one flips the script a little bit by going for the bigger screen on the outside. But if Ultra is unfolding for these devices, what else have they put into these phones to make them even more enticing to the foldable market?
Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and the Galaxy Z Flip 7.
I know a lot of content is coming out on all of these devices that Samsung is announcing at Unpacked here in Brooklyn, New York, where I am, as Samsung has brought me out for the event to check out the new phones and to also do some content on them, obviously, and to attend Unpacked, where it's looking like a pretty big party because Samsung really wants to come out the gate swinging with these new foldables. We're actually going to just jump right into the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, which is supposed to have some of the Ultra tropes across its now very thin and very light body.
And you know, everyone's going to be talking about how thin the Fold 7 is, and that is a worthwhile talking point, but just like with the Galaxy S25 Edge, the moment I picked this thing up, the first thing I thought about was just how light the phone was. And to say that about a foldable is a very good thing indeed.
We're not even that far off from the release of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, but a lot of what they have learned from making this very thin smartphone is now being injected into their larger foldable, as this is a phone that is actually 8.9 millimeters folded. That's about 3 millimeters less than last year's edition, so this is a marked improvement.
Don't forget that the other design change that happened here is that the displays, both of them, are a little bit wider now. Wide enough that when you have the phone closed like this, especially considering how thin the phone is, this just feels like a regular phone experience, a regular old candy bar, so that you don't have to open up the phone all the time the way that you kind of felt that way with previous generations of the Fold with that very thin design.
That larger display is obviously going to be a great canvas for work and play, being able to watch things like YouTube videos in a bottom half of it while getting some work done on the top half or vice versa, and being able to split the screen evenly down the middle or just like size things up properly, have floating windows, and be able to create a workspace that really just gets a lot of things done all at once.
You can always prop up the display like this and just watch something on there like a YouTube video or whatnot. Although I will say, because of how thin the overall device is, the camera area on the back, obviously, the 3 lenses there, that's what the camera bump is mostly relegated to, does make the phone rock around quite a bit.
One thing to note though, and the pun is intended there is a change in these displays, and it came about during a bit of a Q&A session during the briefings and the content capture that we did before Unpacked.
We do have to address a kind of elephant in the room. There's only so much room on here to be able to fit something like an S Pen, and while there were hopes, I suppose, for some people to have an S Pen as part of the Galaxy Z Fold experience, unfortunately, when it comes to the Z Fold 7, S Pens are simply not part of the equation. S Pens are not even supported by the screens of this new foldable. That's going to be a bummer for some, although Samsung did say that there are very few people who use it, to the point that market research has made them take out that particular digitizer for S Pen functionality. Perhaps S Pen is something that can be considered properly Ultra for like the Galaxy S line. After all, Ultra is not in the name for the Z Fold 7. That being said, it might be a bit of a bummer. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Do you want S Pen functionality on here, even though you're not getting it anymore? And maybe that was exactly the way that they were able to make the phone a little bit thinner. Perhaps there's a trade-off there, and of course, with every smartphone, even brand new shiny ones like this, trade-offs like that simply happen.
The loss of S Pen functionality on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 does take away one of the key features that separates and makes unique the Galaxy smartphones from everything else. So you can kind of argue that this foldable, despite managing to achieve this thin and light form factor, is also kind of falling in line with a lot of the other foldables we may have seen outside of the US market. Once again, let me know all of your thoughts about that in the comments down below. As for everything that you can do on the phone still, it is all being powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which should be able to provide great performance no matter which screen you are using. Even if you're multitasking like I have done in the past with Fold devices, where I'm playing a game on one half of the big display and watching something on the other.
Of course, we can't forget about the AI of it all. And if anything, Galaxy AI is actually pushing forward sort of the capabilities and the use cases and the practicality of AI on their smartphones a little bit better than most. After all, Samsung and Google have a very close relationship, and Gemini and Circle to Search are core functions and are main ways of engaging AI on these new foldables. Case in point, you can now share your entire screen with Gemini Live and have a conversation about whatever is going on the display. So if you're trying to look up some stuff on the internet and you want to have even more insight about it and search beyond what is on your screen, just what you're looking at, you can do that with Gemini Live conversationally.
Samsung's own AI features come back as well, especially the ones in the gallery that provide some really great content creation and photo manipulation, whether it is a generative edit to remove people from a photo, or even the audio eraser, which would help make any audio and even the sound or voice recorder something that is nice and clear by removing the background noise. Which finally brings us to the cameras, and this is kind of what Samsung is talking about when they say Ultra is unfolding. Some of the Ultra features are supposed to be coming to the fold to make it even better of an experience across the board. In the cameras, it's all about the 200 megapixel main shooter, which we have seen in a couple of previous devices, including the Galaxy S25 Edge. The thing is, the 200 megapixel camera is the one that you're probably going to want to use the most, as the ultra wide and the telephoto, and then certainly the punch hole cameras on both displays, they significantly decrease in terms of megapixel count and probably in terms of some quality. I will see how all of these cameras fare, probably in some sort of camera test coming soon after I get my hands on a review unit.
It is with a foldable, whether it's a larger foldable like this or a smaller foldable like the Flip, that you actually get a viewfinder when using the outer cameras. That's one of the best parts about it. So even if these cameras, as they approach ultra status, may or may not be the absolute best cameras you can get on a smartphone, you do have a unique form factor that allows you to get things like vlogging and selfies done a little bit easier.
It's up to you whether or not form factor actually makes a difference in making the Galaxy Z Fold 7 an enticing upgrade if you're coming from other phones and you might trade in order to get this year's new device. It is an upgrade in terms of just quality of life, because with that wider display on the outside, it is an even better experience when the phone is closed, but it is also an even better experience once opened up. And really, it's hard to discount just how impactful having a light smartphone is. That's what we kind of were taught over the last number of weeks with the Galaxy S25 Edge. After all, it's not just the fact that this is thin, it's the fact that it is really light and is easy to just carry around and have on me at all times. I want to know if that's enough for you, given that the price point starts at $1999, and that is for the 256 gigabyte storage model.
And if it is all about the bigger screens, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 is here to party as well. With a larger screen on the outer display, the flex window is now edge to edge, which means it goes past these camera lenses down here. It is a great look for the Z Flip, in my opinion, because, well, look at this. It's actually done a pretty good job. Very little bezel all around the flex window, and this makes it even more practical for use cases like using it for the viewfinder for the rear cameras, maybe getting some quick selfies by just propping up this display right here. For example, like this. It is just a really good time with this larger display.
This is the largest ever flex window, which goes edge to edge, resulting in a 4.1-inch display with a just over 1 millimeter bezel. I think 1.25 millimeters is the bezel all around. It really does make the entire cover just look like a canvas that you can have some fun with. And certainly there were a lot of different displays at Unpacked that were showing off like videos as wallpapers, and I'm very enticed by that.
Samsung also wanted to make sure that the outer display, the flex window, would be viewable in any condition. They called it fun in the sun during the presentation, because now the display can get to a peak brightness of 2600 nits. And last for now, but certainly not least at all, is the access to Gemini that you can have on the, let me turn off the voice recognition here, is the access to Gemini that you can have on the flex window. So not even needing to open up the phone to get straight to all of that AI goodness that you might be using in order to get some queries done or to just have some extra insight from AI, in this case, Gemini.
Now, as far as actually running apps on the cover display, the flex window, if you will, it is still something that you're able to do with the good lock feature. Multi-store, I think is what it is called. It's the same process as before to get apps running on there. A little bit of like a, not really beta, but like a labs type of feature almost. And Samsung had told us that the reason why this is the case is because they still don't want to just sort of put all apps on there knowing that they're not all going to render perfectly. So, you know, it's one of those your mileage may vary things, and you also have to do a little bit of sleuthing in the Samsung App Store in order to get all of that done. You might also notice in my hand that the Galaxy Z Flip 7 is a little bit wider than before as well. It wasn't just the Z Fold 7 that got the widening treatment, it's also the Z Flip 7, meaning that the 4.1-inch flex window is bigger, and honestly, it looks pretty great, but then when you open up the phone, you now have a 6.9-inch effective display, which is a little bit wider. It's not going to be like the more tall than wide situation. This definitely falls more in line with like the Galaxy S25 Plus in terms of the footprint once the Z Flip 7 is open. It may not be as thin, perhaps, as the Galaxy Z Fold 7, but this is still Samsung's thinnest flip that they've ever made, and they were able to achieve that while keeping a high level of durability by re-engineering some of the parts of the phone. Things like the camera module got re-engineered, the circuit board is now really high density and does its best to not waste any space on that board.
And it's with the Flip that you end up wanting to do stuff like this and just flip things around and slam it down and tell people to stop calling you ever again. But even if you do end up doing all of those snappy movements with the Z Flip 7, it should be able to take it with a better hinge this time around, proper waterproofing across all of the different parts. It's all here in terms of the durability.
One big change, which is again a thing I need to hear from all of you about in the comments, is the fact that this is not using a Snapdragon processor anymore. The Galaxy Z Flip 7 is actually going to be using the Exynos 2500. It's been a little while since I personally have used an Exynos processor, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it fares in this new smartphone, but I know that the change is going to be something that everyone has an opinion on, so let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. I personally have no doubt that the Exynos 2500 will still be able to perform tasks just well enough on the daily, work and play, but it's really in the camera and the image processing that I'm curious how it's going to fare. As speaking of the cameras, we do have here a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel main screen, the punch hole in the screen there for selfies. And I say selfies with the inner display, but obviously there are other ways of getting selfies with foldables like this.
And like I was saying before, pretty much every foldable affords you some extra functionality when it comes to the rear cameras. The rear cameras are obviously the ones that you want to use for as much content capture as possible, and with a outer display, you have access to a viewfinder in order to use those to better frame up your shots. I'm actually looking around right now, and there are a lot of people at this content capture legitimately using like a Galaxy S25 Ultra to get a lot of their shots for their content. Stuff that will go up on Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube, of course, and on the phone like this, with some new animations and the cameras and whatnot, you are able to still get that vertical video very easily. So let's not discredit the fact that content capture with a flip foldable like this with better cameras is always going to be a good time. And if I were to go over to 4K, that just makes this a very viable way of getting a lot of content done. There you go. Oh, there you go. A little bit of a tally light between the two lenses right there, so you can actually see that it is recording. Oh, one more thing. Let's go wide. There you go. This actually would look really good for social media.
Just like with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, I want to know what you think about Samsung's, let's say, balancing act when it comes to the flip foldable. With the Galaxy Z Flip 7, you have the larger outer display, but then you have the Exynos 2500, which, at least for me, remains a little bit untested. I will see what that is like and let you know in future content. That all being said, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 comes in at $1099 at the 256GB base model. If you haven't jumped into foldables yet, in particular the flip foldables, Samsung is trying to create a bit of an entry point here in the form of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 FE. The Z Flip 7 FE is actually a very familiar device, mainly because it takes a lot of the same cues from last year's Z Flip 6, right down to the shape of the phone and the fact that it has the folder shape to the flex window on the cover display. It retains a number of the same features. That main camera is still 50 megapixels, and all of the AI features, the Galaxy AI, the Google Gemini, and beyond, are all still a part of the Z Flip 7 FE, so all of those capabilities remain. In the case of the Z Flip 7 FE, however, it also is going to be rocking an Exynos processor. I believe the Exynos 2400 in this one, which is just a step below from what is found in the flagship Z Flip 7. As the entry point, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 rounds out the smartphone announcements here at Unpacked, and it comes in at $899, but for the 128GB base storage model. And so there you have it, a look at all of these smartphones that have just been announced here at Samsung Unpacked in Brooklyn, New York. There are some other announcements, mainly in the wearables category, as we have a new Samsung Galaxy Watch 8 that has a slightly different design that takes a lot of cues from the Galaxy Watch Ultra from last year, now having sort of that squircle design that looks a lot like the icons in the actual Samsung interface on the smartphones. It also features a new lug system to be able to change up the watch straps and whatnot. I didn't get too much time with these, but one thing I do want to point out is that the rotating bezel is finally back, and apparently it is an every other year type of thing, and this happens to be one of those years. So the Galaxy Watch 8 Classic is a thing, and I definitely want to get one of those on my wrist pretty soon. There's nothing really new for the Galaxy Watch Ultra except for the fact that it now comes in a blue color as well, kind of to match up with the blue that you will find on both the Z Fold 7 and the Z Flip 7. And speaking of the colors, both of the Fold and the Flip do come in one exclusive Samsung.com color, and that would be mint. That will be the alternative to the black, silver, and blue that are available for the Fold, and the blue, coral, and black that are available for the Flip. Pre-orders for all of these items have started on July 9th, so if you want to check any of these things out for yourself, I have links in the description below that you can use, and also in the pinned comment. Once again, using those links actually really helps my channel out a lot, so consider doing so if you are interested in everything that Samsung has announced. I appreciate your support, whether it's through your views or your clicks. But with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for kicking it with me again today on Unpacked Day. I know a bunch of videos are coming out right now, so I'm just really happy that you chose to watch mine and to hang out with me today. Look forward to videos on all of these devices in the coming days. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.